Okay, so we are two app developers, and today we're going to talk about Apple's new restrictions with cross-promotion ads in the App Store. And this just surfaced a few days ago, or maybe yesterday even. Apple's terms and conditions have changed to now reflect that no developer can promote other apps other than their own inside the apps that they're running. So we're just kind of doing some research on that, and Mike's pulled up some things here that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's worded in such a way, I mean, it basically could kill off ad networks, you know. I mean, if their point of doing this is to get rid of the possibility of just creating a quick app just to promote something else, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of apps out there and you really need to filter in some sense, but what exactly do they plan on doing with this verbiage?
Yeah, ad networks like LeadBolt, even AdMob, that promote apps, app downloads inside of the banners or app walls under these terms are in violation of Apple's store policy. And so if you're running an app that is running an AdMob banner that says download app B, technically you're against terms of service, and they could reject your app or pull it from the App Store. And I feel like it's detrimental to the community base, developers sharing among each other and trying to get more attention in the App Store. What was it you were thinking, or you were reading that Apple, the reason that you think that they're,
Well, they basically possibly want to control what you ultimately see. You think about the redesign for the iOS 6 and stuff like that. I think the top charts are still there. They're just more hidden.
Right.
So you get the little flash card, you swipe, which, I mean, think about it. How many swipes are most users going to do before they get bored and just pick one? And it probably has a lot to do with in line with their acquisition of Chomp recently. I mean, to put the apps you might be interested in front of your face. And by making it difficult or almost impossible for you to promote any application, at least then they have a little more control about what might be ultimately seen. You can't just pump $1 million campaign into one app and it be seen,
Yeah, so Apple, in a way, is funneling the traffic themselves. They're not wanting people to be able to buy in traffic to get their app downloaded. And it opens the door to whether or not in the future Apple themselves are going to have their own cross-promotion network, which sort of makes you wonder, I mean, why would they not want developers to promote other developers' apps? Because the only other way that Apple could get someone else's app downloaded is through their algorithm, which is super secret. They'll never tell you what that is. Their search indexing, or by them in the future releasing their own promotional network in a way, much like Lunar Ads or Chart Boost or any of those that do cross-promotion now, where a developer basically puts their app in the market and for free, and developers can do that exchange between themselves, and it's a very powerful thing. If you have an app that has, let's say, 1 million install user base, and I join Lunar Ads, and my app doesn't have very many users, if it's now promoted through the app that has 1 million downloads or installs, my chart, my ranking in the App Store is going to be increased. So, yeah.
Hey, maybe just because the whole App Store is set up. I mean, they try to filter out, junk. I mean, some of it still slips through, but so maybe the cross-promotion is their way of handling that. I mean, because I can't remember what app it was. It was like Hair Plucker or something like that. I mean, it got popular, but it was not anything that really should have made it popular. It was mainly because someone probably had a massive advertising campaign pushing it. So this way, possibly if they have their own service in the future, they could ultimately control what apps could be cross-promoted. I know on iOS 6 they actually created a new view controller for bringing up the App Store inside your application as opposed to taking it outside. Now, I don't know if it's related or just possibly to keep it more within your application and make it more connected for the user to use.
Yeah, well, and it also brings up the point that yesterday when they released their new terms of service, evidently it broke downloads in the App Store for a while, undetermined amount of time. I don't really know how long, but there were several reports that users could no longer get their downloads for one reason or the other, and I don't think Apple would ever fully, say why that occurred. But the fact is that it seems to be really restricting for developers if I can no longer promote other developers' apps. And the B side of that is that my apps could no longer be promoted through other developers' apps, which I don't know. There's a big question mark over that.
Yeah.
Can I now no longer buy traffic from Millennium Media or AdMob or JumpTap or any of those?
Really need to come forward and be very specific what this really entails.
That's true.
Concrete. As a developer, you need to know where you're going to stand, because you might be 3-6 months down the road before your app gets out there, and you don't want to put all your eggs into this design thing and Apple just go,
yeah,
nope, sorry, you violated this.
That's true. That's true, and and they also didn't speak to what this does for apps that are currently promoting other apps. And again, by promoting other apps, do they mean you're running ad networks like AdMob or JumpTap or any of those that are running advertisements for other apps? Because technically you're now against the terms of service, and maybe your next app update, or maybe just if they feel like you're violating the terms now, they can maybe reject your app. There's just too much of a question mark over it for me, and it I don't know what their intent is here. So I guess we'll just...
And when they're not being specific, most people tend to lean more towards the most extreme cases, which may never arise, but until they actually come out and say, this is what it's about. I mean, because I'm going to think worst case scenario myself.
Yeah. Well, and anytime that you get a new terms of service and it's crawled over and with a magnifying glass, things like this get exploited. Some people are saying, some other developers are saying, well, this is really intended to stomp out apps like App Shopper or Free App of the Day, where it's a subsidiary of the actual App Store environment, and that experience that Apple is trying to create for users, and that by other apps promoting other apps, maybe Free App of the Day or App Shopper or any of those, it just disintegrates that experience they're wanting to create. And they, some of these other, some of the chatter on the internet is saying that it may not be that they're trying to stomp out individual app downloads running through AdMob or through Lunar Ads or any of those, where more as it's trying to stomp out the App Shopper type apps, where you've got a whole buffet.
Their sole existence is just
right.
That's all they do. That's all they provide.
Yeah. So
I'd say it's not a good service to have, but it's just there may be another way of doing that.
Yeah. So
and it
I don't
kind
know.
of makes you wonder how Facebook might be affected because their new App Center or whatever. I mean, ultimately drives that traffic back to the App Store, but depending on how, like I said, vague wording. I mean, they probably won't because there's so much traffic and they're tightly integrated, especially in iOS 6. I think, isn't it? But
yeah. So if you guys have any questions or comments, just put them below, and we'll be glad to try to get some answers for you, or maybe start some other discussions based on this video. For us, it's just kind of a big question mark. We really don't know where this is going, and of course, we run Lunar Ads in most of our apps, and there's developer cross promotion. And if we can no longer cross promote with other developers, and we can only promote our own apps, that's we're just wondering what the intent there, what Apple's intent is. So stay tuned for the next video. Maybe we'll have some answers.
yeah.